This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here with a beautiful Toronto background because, I love Toronto and I'm going to be there in a week. Actually, not quite a week, not quite a week. Less than 10 days, though. I'm going to be in Toronto, and then we're going to be going to Frightmare in the Falls, Niagara Falls. I'll be assisting Lisa Langlois at that event. And the guest I have on the show today is going to be there. And depending on what you calculate the release of The Evil Dead, we could be celebrating its 40th anniversary, or we could be celebrating its 42nd anniversary, depending on whether you classify it as 81 or 83.
That's
Well,
absolutely true.
yes. I give you the lovely Betsy Baker. How do you do, Betsy?
Hi there. How are you? I'm great. How do you do? It's nice to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, The Evil Dead, and wow. Depending, I mean, a lot of people, the release dates of that is really strange, because it's listed on as 1981, but I think it was what released at one location or something like that in 81, and it was released wide in 83. Do you know the story behind that?
No, I don't know the entire story. By the way, thank you for having me here today. It's
Hmm.
really nice to be here. I don't know the entire story. I know that they had a premiere at some point, and in the October, I think October 15th, which would be what, yesterday, 2 days ago, October 15th or 16th. And I never made it to the premiere that everyone talks about at conventions, and Sam and Bruce and Rob talk about all the time. And my cohort, Sarah York, aka Teresa Tilley, I was doing an auto show in Portland, Oregon, and uh, never made it there. But I think it had that might have been the premiere, and then they may not have been able to just, I don't know, been able to release it or find somebody to distribute it. And so a lot of times they say it came out in 83. A lot of people say it came out in 82. I don't know. Back then in that last century, we had no computers, no cell phones. You heard through things or contacted people through what's called a telephone, and or a US mail letter or a Canadian mail letter, and that's as far as I know. I don't know any history of why there's such a difference in dates as to when anybody saw it.
There you go. Well, before we get into that in detail, I would love to get some of your background and how you got into the business. I understand you were involved in dancing growing up.
Yes, but not professionally. My
Hmm.
friends and professional friends around me would not consider me a dancer, although I liked to dance. And I took a ton of dance lessons and classes from the time I was, I think, 4 years old.
Hmm.
Um, but I went to Michigan State University in East Lansing, Michigan. Go Spartans, go
Hmm.
green. Um, um, and got a theater education degree, basically musical theater, but also an education degree. But I decided not to teach, and I actually proceeded to go down and was asked to come down and hired at a job in Florida, Miami Beach, Florida. We were sort of like the Young Americans or Up with People in the late 70s. And I was there for a while and singing every night and not dancing well. Actually, within about 4 weeks, I broke my ankle dancing on stage. So sort of
Wow.
embarrassing. But yeah, and then moved to the Detroit area. I'm not from the Detroit area at all, but I'm from the other side of the state in Michigan. Moved to the Detroit area and wanted to get involved with learning how commercials were made and industrial films, which was a very, very big product back then. And I was doing live narration and voiceover narration. And one of my theatrical agents in Detroit said that there are three young gentlemen, and she did call them that would like to meet you and talk to you about a movie they're making. And but they would like to meet you in a restaurant, which basically means to me they wanted to talk and meet and greet and see if we all got along, and they didn't want to pay the rental space at the theatrical agency. So I hesitantly, cautiously agreed and met them and realized they were basically just young kids. I think all of them were 21 and under. And I was a little bit older, not much, but a little bit older. And they wanted me to come over to Sam Raimi's house, which was actually his parents' house because he was still living at home, and audition for the role of Linda, which was Bruce Campbell's love interest. And so the following 2 days later, I did on a Saturday, knocked on his back kitchen door, and his mother said that the boys were all downstairs. And I read a few scenes with Bruce Campbell, and then Sam actually offered me the job right there in the basement of his parents' home.
And just think how many things has happened to Bruce Campbell's face since then.
That's true. That's true. And his body, He's been through a lot.
Yeah, I heard a commentary by Sam Raimi. I think it was Evil Dead 2, where he said, "Sometimes, it's just fun to see what new things we can do to Bruce's face."
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I'm sure. I have no doubt that he said that.
Sam Raimi has done quite well for himself. The Evil Dead films, and he's also yet the Spider-Man films. But I mean, what a missed opportunity! I'm like, Tobey Maguire, really? Why couldn't we get Bruce Campbell as Spider-Man? What do you think? What do you think?
Well, by the time Sam was offered Spider-Man and it was all in the talks, I think Bruce was a little, he wasn't old, but he was a little old to be moving that fast. So yeah, I think Tobey Maguire was a great choice, to be honest
I
with
don't know. I bet Bruce would disagree. I
you.
bet
Oh,
Bruce would say he'd be the perfect Spider-Man.
it may very well be possible. Absolutely. I wouldn't put it past Bruce either.
Actually, you know what? I kind of wouldn't have minded seeing what that movie would look like.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
It's funny seeing Bruce Campbell cameo in all these movies, like even in the. Trying to think what was the last thing I saw Bruce Campbell in that was Sam Raimi. It's escaping me now, but you saw Bruce Campbell, and people in the audience just recognize him and they laugh. 'Cause of course, something weird's gonna happen with him, of course, you know?
For them, either it's something's going to happen to Bruce Campbell or them in the audience, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you had a very, standout role in Evil Dead, of course, I just love it there. I mean, it balances horror and comedy quite well, and sometimes you're not prepared for the comedy part. Like when you're sitting there on the floor there, he takes a shovel and wham, or he nails you in the nails you in the head, and I'm like, man, this movie really went for some places back then,
Yeah,
and you're still sitting there with the smile on your face, demented smile.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Uh, Talk about the makeup process, because, like I said, you had kind of the standout makeup out of all the zombies, or I shouldn't say zombies, but Evil Dead in that film.
The Deadites, the Deadites.
Deadite.
That was an interesting situation because it turned out in the majority of the movie, once I became a demonized Deadite or whatever, I did not have the prosthetic, the rubber mask that our special effects guy, we didn't have a team, we just had one guy, the great Tom Sullivan, we had made one for me. But both Ellen Sandweiss and Teresa Tilley and Hal Delrich, all wore them as they became demonized and deadites. If you look carefully in the movie, you can see that I am wearing mine as I'm being dragged as the demonic Linda across the floor by my ankles by Ash out the living room, through the living room and down the steps. There's a quick shot, a cutaway, and I have the mask on. But there was something that felt, even, you know, as this young actress and talking to this even good director, and we're just not grabbing Linda. We're not catching her yet. And he says, well, yeah, we are. Ash has young girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Really nauseatingly, sickeningly sweet. People, how would you do that? I said, I would change her voice. I would make her sing and sing a song that will drive people crazy. And I would actually take off that hard rubber mask that Tom made, and I would make up my face like a porcelain doll. And that's how that came about. I mean, it was through talking with Sam that night, and we tested a few voices. And when I say talk to Sam that night, we were on set. We were just in the corner on that old couch, or, you know, on the floor, just talking and waiting for either to get dark or for people setting up lights or whatever. And you know, he thought he agreed with the fact that he thought I could sing a little song, and he thought it would be. So we worked on a few things, and then we came up with, you know, we're going to get you in this little sing-song lullaby voice, which drives people crazy. And I said, that's what you want. You want her to be even sweeter as a demon than she is as regular Linda.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say, because this, I mean, Frightmare in the Falls is going to be the first time I've met you in person, and I do plan to come by your table. But you must get asked to sing that all the time, don't you?
All the time. All the time. And especially, you know, when we do Q&As and panels, and what's interesting is it's so great to meet the fans, but they came up and say, you know, please don't sing that song. It really creeps me out, and it creeped me out when I was 7 or 8 years old. And the first thing I think of is, you want me to sing the song, don't you? So
Actually,
sometimes
yeah,
I do and sometimes I don't.
I want you to sing it right now.
We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you. Time to go to sleep. There she is.
Yeah, that would get you a pass on America's Got Talent.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that, but
I think they would let you. I think they would all give you the go. I think you
oh
would
boy.
win. You win the talent contest.
Well, that's kind of you to say, but I think I don't think so, but whatever. Yes, I do get asked that a lot.
Have you I know they do. I've never done a photo op, tend to photo op with anybody, but do you ever do photo op with in the makeup?
No, we haven't, but we have our agents have been contacted by future conventions to consider it and possibly work it out. A couple of actors and actresses do, some will not, but some are really getting into it, you know, sometimes even with the wardrobe or whatever.
Okay. Well, what was the most difficult thing about doing this role? 'Cause there's a lot of physical stuff in it.
I think it was the physicality of it all. We had no stunt people. And there were times when Sam, even as a young director, just, you know, really asked for things that he couldn't, but did, or shouldn't, but did. And we, as young actors, said okay when we shouldn't have or couldn't have. I know Bruce got injured on the set of Evil Dead. We had to wear hard sclera lenses, which were really bad for our eyes after 5 or 10 minutes. And people got banged up a little. The time that I was coming out of the ground, or the time that Linda was coming out of the ground after being buried alive,
Mm-hmm.
and Ash hits Linda with the wooden beam, I was told and guaranteed that they were just styrofoam beams that they had picked up from Sears Roebuck, but they weren't really. They were actually, they may have picked them up from Sears Roebuck at the time, Sears and Roebuck. But what they were beams that could actually be put in your family room or your den, in the roof. So they were not just styrofoam. It was very, very hard wood, and it hurt me, and it hurt a lot. And I think we only did one take.
Oh my. Guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. No, and of course we all remember the scenes where he gives you a wallop with that.
Yeah. There's that. There's that. Yeah. It was pretty vicious.
I'm assuming you've got more to add to that.
No, it just every night, every week or every night there was something new that Sam wanted us to do. And we said yes a lot of times. And then at the end, we just said, I'm not doing that's ridiculous. I think, and I've said it many times, one of the most stupid things I did was allow Bruce to hold a real working chainsaw over my neck when he brings me back to the shed. And Sam did promise me that we would only do one take, but even that one take could have been disastrous.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, the chainsaw has become kind of a staple for the series, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And
that
thankfully I'm still around to talk about it.
yeah, well, I'm glad you are. Um, the way you describe this is I'm getting the picture that there wasn't a full script, that a lot of stuff was just kind of on the spur of the moment stuff added or
It's a pretty,
ideas.
yes, it was a pretty improvised script. I actually have the script here.
Mm.
I have my original script, and it was much shorter than an hour and a half movie or whatever. And there were times when, yes, I mean, there was descriptions of the students, the 5 college kids drive through the woods to get to the cabin. Well, as we all know, that took 4 or 5 or 6 minutes of shooting time, and so they would add things. And Sam at that time, you know, it was very. I mean, he's always been creative. He's still creative, but he would say, "Let's add this. Let's add that." He knew that he could look at it in editing and take it out or put it in. So, at that time in his life, it didn't have to be on the script. He wasn't bound by, studio rules or anything like that. So we did a lot of improvising.
So, and of course, I know that Teresa Tilly is going to be at Frightmare in the Falls with you. You know, it's pretty cool that you're still in touch with your co-stars. I'm trying to think of the name of the. I got the thing up here. The other girl.
Ellen,
Yeah,
Ellen Sandweiss played
yeah,
Cheryl.
that's it. Yeah, yes. Now, she's not going to be at Frightmare in the Falls.
Right.
Did just a matter of what I'm assuming she was invited, maybe just can't make it.
She's just chosen not to do conventions anymore.
Oh,
We've been doing them for about 20, 22, 21, 22 years. Um, and she's just decided to not do them anymore.
oh, that's a fuck. Because a lot of people, when you and Teresa were announced, they were wondering if all three of you were going to be there.
I know, I know. We
Mhm.
have a lot of fun, and but I'll tell you what, we're gonna have just as much fun with just Teresa and Betsy there because we're a lot of fun. We're pretty
Well, you
crazy.
know what? Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you mentioned you have the script. Do you sell copies of that?
No,
No?
no,
Okay. Okay.
no.
No, I just know some people do that. That's why I was wondering.
Oh, I know, but I don't.
Okay.
I know.
Keeping that under your hat.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, no, no. It's mine.
Nope, I don't fault you. I don't fault you.
Oh, I know some. I mean, I know some people who will take a page or two and make copies, and you can buy this page of my script from me, but I don't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, have you and Teresa ever done a con in Canada before?
Let's see. We've done one. I think we've done two. Two and three. We've done one near Ontario years
Hmm.
ago. And then I think, forgive me, we've done one either in maybe a couple of in Montreal, but I don't think in near Toronto or Niagara Falls. No, this is our first.
I've only done Horrorama, and I've done that one 4 times, and I've
Wow.
done, yep. Um, I assisted Lisa Langlois at 2 of those, and I'm assisting her at this one here. This will be my third Frightmare in the Falls, you know. So I've just gone as just a fan when I went before, but generally, if Lisa's doing a con, I usually do them with her. She kind of opened the door for me on all these, so I'm at her service.
That's
when I
nice.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I'm going to tell you, when I first got introduced to them, it was a very unique world.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yep.
But so are chess conventions and so are, bingo conventions and so are neurological doctor conventions. It just depends on what kind of con you're into.
Hmm. I enjoy them. Now, here's a question I ask all my guests, and I'm going to I'm going to ask you this because I have a feeling you're probably going to have an interesting answer. Maybe it's just because Evil Dead fans usually come up with unique things, but what's the most unique thing you've ever been asked to sign?
Oh, that's easy. There was we haven't seen him in a few years, but he used to come to conventions and he came with his girlfriend at the time. I don't know if they ever got married, maybe they did. And one time he said, I have something to show you. And he had shorts on, like cargo shorts. And we said, okay. And he proceeded to roll up his cargo shorts in one leg. And he had all three of us ladies of the Evil Dead. It's a very well-known picture that we have of the three. It's a headshot, like an 8x10 of all of it. He had them all tattooed, got all three of us tattooed on his upper thigh. And I mean upper thigh. And so we just went, wow, awkward but nice. And then he asked us the favor if we would sign our autographs underneath our faces, which is what we do with the 8x10 when people come to the convention. So sure, we got our Sharpies and we signed them and we talked for a while and visited, and he went on his way. And the next night we saw him at a private screening of a movie. And he said, I have something to show you. And we kind of all said, oh, no, it's okay. You showed us yesterday. He said, no, 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 I have something else to show you. And with that, he rolled up his cargo shorts again. And he had gone that day and gotten all of our signatures tattooed as well.
Yep. I've heard stories like that. I think the first one I've heard that from, I met Caroline Monroe last year at Horrorama, but I had her on the show here in 2016, and she was the first one I ever heard say that about somebody getting a name tattooed on them. I don't have any tattoos. Uh, I'm a, it's I guess it's not my thing, you know. Some people say it's painful, some say it isn't. I'm like, I'd like to avoid pain at all costs, so
Yeah, I've seen Linda. I don't have any tattoos either, but I've seen Linda on forearms. I've seen her on people's backs. I've seen her on people's calves and on the side of their legs and on their ankles. So she's out there.
she's out there. And of course, it must be awesome when the three of you get together. It's too bad Ellen's not doing anymore, but like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing you and Teresa. I've reached out to Teresa. I haven't heard from her yet, but like I said, you two are going to be doing your Evil Dead song. So I'm going to hear you from the table I'm at. I will hear you guys are going to be singing the
Sure.
whole weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if we're doing any panels or Q&As or discussions, but we have a good time. We're really we have a good time. Sometimes we even have little contests and raffles and giveaways at our Q&A. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Do you get any interesting, besides the chainsaw, any interesting Bruce Campbell stories? Because that guy's I'm going to tell you a story, Bruce Campbell. I never met him, but there was a movie that came out about 15 years ago called Serving Sarah. And I think it was Matthew Perry and Elizabeth Hurley. And Bruce Campbell had a supporting role in it and a smaller role in it. And I remember coming out of the theater after seeing it, and there were people checking out that poster because Bruce Campbell was in it. And I was like, they missed their mark because nothing against Matthew Perry or Elizabeth Hurley, but there were people going to that movie to see Bruce Campbell. And I was like, wow. I don't know if the studios knew what they had with him because he's very gifted.
He's very, very talented. And he's had some shows of his own. He's had Burn Notice, he had for a few years, which was a very, very popular show. And he's done a lot of feature films. And he's a very kind man. And he in real life and on camera, he's extremely funny. He is extremely funny. And just a very creative guy. And we see him every once in a while. We just saw him a couple of months ago. Yeah, just a couple of months ago. We were with him for a convention back in the Detroit area. And we have a really good time when we see him.
Did you see Bubba Hotep?
I did.
I love that. I saw that for the first time last year, and I got the Blu-ray, and I was like, that was interesting, and he was terrific in it. Yeah,
Crazy movie, that's for sure.
yeah. Now, have you seen any of the Evil Dead sequels? And if so, do you have any favorites?
I have seen some of the Evil Dead sequels, and I do not have a favorite.
Well, there are some stuff I like, is like Cassie DePavia and Evil Dead 2 get the eyeball that shoots into her mouth. Army of Darkness was so different because of the stuff they were like. I mentioned Bruce's face; they were pulling his face. I gotta say, I really enjoyed Evil Dead Rise. It kind of the one that came out this year. It took place in a high rise, and it reminded me of Demons too. You know,
Yes, we actually both Teresa and I were invited and accepted. And were guests at the premiere here in the Los Angeles area. We had met the three female actresses and Jane Levy from Evil Dead, the remake of 13, and we all had lunch together. Um, uh, and then we went to the premiere, and we've done conventions. We've done conventions already with Alyssa. We were just in Germany a few weeks ago with Alyssa, and I actually did go to the premiere. But as Teresa will tell you, I didn't see 92% of the movie because I was like this for most of the movie. Yeah, I don't like horror movies. Teresa doesn't like them either, but she watched it. I didn't watch it.
you mentioned Jane. I like Jane Levy a lot too. You know, you met her. What's she like?
She's lovely. She's lovely. She's very intelligent, very creative, and she's just a lovely person. She was really fun. We all sat together at a big lunch table and kind of just talked and laughed about our roles in this Evil Dead franchise and what we've been doing in our personal lives. And it was great. And she's great.
He was. I really liked her in Don't Breathe as well. I just interviewed somebody from Don't Breathe that speaks four languages. I'm lucky to speak one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, You had another film I wanted to talk about. I just want to make sure I get the name of it right here, because I've interviewed somebody that was in it, and if I don't get that correct, is it called Lake Erie?
Oh, Lake Erie. Yeah. Yeah, we actually
Yeah.
did that about 10 years ago this week.
Well,
Literally,
I bring it up because I've interviewed uh um Gigliotti. Why am I blanking on her name? From
Maryland.
Marilyn Gigliotti from Clerks. I had her on the show,
Huh?
and yep, and she was really cool to talk to, and I noticed that she is in that. I don't remember. I haven't listened to that interview in a while. I'm not seeing it come up here, but I know Al Snow was in the credits with you in that as well. So
Yeah, I think it was funny. I think Marilyn and I literally met, I say on the set, but we never worked together on the set. We were never in the same scenes. And I actually think we met because she was finishing her scene um, uh, in Lake Erie and leaving that day. And I was coming on for all of mine. I mean, I was there for a few days, almost a week, and she had just finished her scene and was leaving. And as she left, I had been driven to the house where the movie took place, and we literally met in the driveway. So, which was really
yeah,
interesting. And
she
we've been in contact and remained good acquaintances ever since.
yeah, I like her a lot. I had her on here just before the bug put us into lockdown, so
Mm.
I got her at a good time when I
Yeah, you
did.
did. You did.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do these at a radio station here, a student radio station, and um, Nancy McLaughlin from Friday the 13th Part 6 introduced me to Zoom, and this has been so much more convenient just doing these from the apartment and not have to book a studio. So, yeah. My brother's big in video games. I noticed you've done demonic voices for Evil Dead video game. How was that experience for you?
It was great. It was a lot of fun. They had me come in a few times. I had done some voiceover and ADR, which is additional dialogue recording for Evil Dead. I actually did some voices of both Cheryl and Shelley back then, 40 years ago. But Evil Dead, the video game, was fun, but it's entirely different. They basically they tell you when you go into a studio, for those who don't know, is well, this scene, Bruce is running through the woods and he's just tripped and fallen. So in your demonic voice, you're going to tell him to get up. And so we play around with it for a couple of minutes and we say, get up, or, why don't you stand up now, or get out of there. We jazz it up a little and we say it 3 or 4 different times in 3 or 4 different vocal tones. And then we go on to the next scene. So I never really saw much, in it. I just saw the words and what we were supposed to say, but it's a lot of fun to do.
Absolutely. Now, I know you've done quite a bit of television. I won't get into all of them in specific, but is there anything that stands out to you you've done for television that you'd say were your best experience, most rewarding experiences?
Honestly, and I know this sounds cliche, but anytime I work, I enjoy it. I love the experience. I'm older now, obviously. I have gray hair and I'm
I
proud
thought you
of
were
it.
39.
I am. You're so right. I'm sorry. I lapsed there for a moment. So I have these different character roles, which are just delightful. And I meet new people. I meet people that maybe I met 30 or 40 years ago and I don't remember, or we know each other. I had a really great experience on the project Sharp Objects a few years ago with Amy Adams and Patricia Clarkson. And
Ah.
yeah, I played the sheriff's wife, which was a sweet little role, very, very innocent, very, very but she knew something was going on. I will tell you that. She knew something bad was going on in town. So, and I love to do comedy and I love to do drama and I love to do mystery. And so it's been a great ride. I stopped for many, many years while we raised our children. and I had another business in the film and entertainment, and then I in the film entertainment business, and it was Rob Tappert actually who sat with me one night at a movie premiere and said, "I don't. Why don't you go back to acting?" I said, "I have kids. We have kids in high school." No, no, no. He said, "Okay, well, in a couple years when they're older." And so I had actually thought about it before he said it, but I went ahead and acted upon it. And I've been really, really fortunate these last 10, 15 years. Really fortunate.
What do your children think about your legacy in the Evil Dead movies?
I don't. I don't think either one of them, and I adore them. I love them. I don't think they've even ever seen the whole movie.
Oh, really? You know what? It's amazing to me, and I've heard this before. Like, like I just interviewed Cindy Hines from The Brood. Her son's never watched the movie. You know, he's aware of it, but and maybe from my point of view, because I'm not an actor, like I'm honored to be talking to you, you know. So maybe it's from my point of view, I would expect them to be quite in awe, but it is kind of interesting because you kind of like the whole image of you sitting on the floor with that demented smile, like that is just cemented right there. And I bet you probably sell a lot of those pictures at at the con.
I do, and it's true. I don't know how easily it is for me to get down on the floor like that anymore, but it wasn't easy to get up after that experience either. So, but my kids have their lives, and I'm just happy and grateful to be their mom, and
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. Do you have any charities and I know you get a web page. You want to plug on here?
Listen, but there's so many things that are needed in this world today. It's just really
I
so
agree.
so hard. I can't begin to go there. Honestly.
I always ask people.
Wherever
Yeah.
your heart and soul takes you in order to donate or give time or money or energy is fine with me. I don't have a specific one, but
Hmm.
the whole world is hurting right now and in need. And wouldn't it be nice if we weren't in need?
You know what? I've had that conversation recently with somebody with the way inflation is going with housing and apartments, and stuff like that. It's like it just doesn't seem to end. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to meeting you at Frightmare in the Falls. Have you ever been to Niagara Falls before?
Oh no,
No?
I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, I saw the falls the first time I went, and this is the biggest con I've been to. Now, when I went to Frightmare in the Falls a couple of years ago, it was after the bug was starting to clear up, and we had maybe a dozen guests there. I met Lisa Loring. I was happy to meet her before she passed, but last year there was a few more people, maybe about 20, 25, but this year there's like 44. And I'm like, wow, this is the biggest because Horrorama is a lot smaller, and but that one's right in downtown Toronto. But this one here is the biggest one I've ever been to. Now I've heard great things about like Chiller and Monster Palooza and Sinister Creature Con and stuff like that. Do you have a favorite con?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Honestly, we were just in Monster Palooza. We were just at Son of Monster Palooza last week. We've done Monster Mania, like you said.
Hmm.
We've done Sinister. We were just in Germany. We've been to Germany a few times, in London. So many. I mean, until you really look and find them, you think, oh, there's one horror convention, but there's probably a lot of sewing conventions. There's probably a lot of skateboard conventions. So there are a lot out there. I don't have a favorite. Every con and every city has its own unique taste and flavor. So
Well, you mentioned cities and whatnot. Is there any particular place you like to go? Like you mentioned Germany and you mentioned this or that. Is there any one that you went to and you're just like, I've never been to not so much the con, but never been to that spot in the world before, and it's like I gotta go. I gotta go to this just to.
Yeah, Niagara Falls next week. Frightmare in the Falls, everybody. You got to come. I'm going.
Well, you know what? I am going to go. I'm going to meet you, and I'm going to give you some business while I'm there.
Yay.
Yep. And you and Teresa have got to talk to some distributor about getting bobbleheads done of your demonic.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Could you imagine sitting there, your character sitting there on the floor, and the head going bobble wobble?
I can imagine it. I'd really like to imagine it even more. I'd like to imagine it happening. That's for damn sure.
I think that would be awesome. Do you have anything coming up that you want to promote besides Frightmare in the Falls? Any film projects that you're
I
involved with?
do. I do, but as a member of SAG-AFTRA,
I understand. Yeah,
cannot right now. So
I keep forgetting
I
that,
know,
I
I
keep
know,
forgetting that,
I
you
know.
know, because I'm not an actor or anything, so I'm not right in the middle of that, but I have been hearing about it. So yeah, we won't I won't put you through that.
Okay, okay. But yeah, I don't do a lot of social media.
Mhm.
But I am on Facebook, and so I always put things up there. And once the strike is over, and I believe it will be at some point, don't we all? And so we'll move forward.
Well, and of course, you come highly recommended to me by Tommy Kovac. Tommy
Oh,
from the past.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yep. He recommended you, spoke very kindly of you. So,
I Tommy and I are old pals, old pals. I just
uh,
spoke to him last week.
actually, I just spoke to him last night because I had him on here.
That's funny.
Yep. And he asked me if I had any interviews coming up. I said, yeah, you. Actually, as of today, I got one book tomorrow and one book Thursday. So,
Terrific.
yeah, I haven't had a booking like that in a while. So, because I work
You're on
as a
fire. You're on fire.
yeah, I work as a cleaner, so I was kind of busy even through the pandemic. So, because everything needs cleaned up. But I do these because I enjoy it and it's a lot of fun. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time and allowing me to honor of talking to you. And I look forward to seeing you at Frightmare in the Falls. Yeah, yep.
See you
And
next week. And I hope everybody comes. I hope tons of people come just be, and we have a good time. And it's always, I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard wonderful things about it.
absolutely, folks. And if you're asked really nicely, she and Teresa will sing the song. They will sing the song, and Simon Cowell will be there with Paul Abdul to give them the thumbs up that they
Yeah.
move ahead.
Yeah. Okay. One out of two of those things are true, people.
You believe me? Before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure. Tell me what you want me to say.
Just state your name and say you were in Linda and Evil Dead, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
You got it. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Hey, everybody. I'm Betsy Baker from The Evil Dead, where I played the character Linda, and you are here listening to Greg Gilbert and say it, Greg.
Python's Paradise.
Python's Paradise, folks. You are
Yeah.
here with Greg Gilbert and Python's Paradise. Paradise. You've heard it from me, not well, but you heard it from Greg. So there you go.
But if you want to hear something well, folks, come to Frightmare in the Falls. Come and see her, and come and see Teresa Tilly, and make your song request to them.
Yeah.
Present your song
I'll be
request.
singing it all day. Thanks
They
a
will.
lot.
They're gonna do a full concert for us.
Uh-huh. A full concert. Yes.
You know what? Thank you so much for allowing me the honor. This was a pleasure, and thank you for the memories. Uh, Actually, when I think of Evil Dead, I actually don't think of Bruce Campbell. I actually think of Linda Hall just sitting there on the floor.
Oh, well, I'll take that as a hip hip hooray. Thank you for having me, Greg. It's been a blast. It's been a blast. Thank you, and I'll see you in a little more than a week.
Absolutely, you will be. I'll be there with Lisa, so I'll be at one of the tables. But when I got a moment, I'm going to scoot on over. I'm going to make a purchase at your table. I'll give you some business.
Got it. You got it. We'll see you there.
All right. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank Greg. See you.
Bye bye.
Bye.